Now, government sources say that MPs will vote on the Prime Minister's withdrawal deal with the EU on Tuesday next week. They say the vote won't be delayed again. Let's cross now straight to my colleague Joanna Gosling, who's at Westminster for us. Joanna.
Thank you very much. Yes, MPs are back today in Westminster, right back into the thick of it. There was that break over the festive period, but it's all starting up again here. So government sources confirming the vote on the Prime Minister's withdrawal deal will take place a week tomorrow on the 15th of January. MPs are back, as I said, with the Brexit debate due to start again on Wednesday. This morning, Theresa May's received a letter from more than 200 MPs from different political parties calling for her to rule out a no-deal Brexit. Organisers say doing so will protect jobs and manufacturing. I'll be speaking to the organisers of that letter in a moment, but first we'll bring in our assistant political editor, Norman Smith. So Norman, it feels like a lot hasn't changed, but actually how much have things shifted? We're getting word, obviously, of these various efforts that are being carried out to block a no-deal Brexit.
There's a lot going on, but in terms of the fundamentals, remarkably little has changed from when Mrs May pulled this vote a month ago. So we still have the DUP seemingly adamantly opposed to the deal, last night describing it as toxic and poison. We still have Boris Johnson fulminating against the deal in his column in the Daily Telegraph. The EU still not have coughed up a really significant concession that might meet the concerns of many Brexiteers here. And Mrs May is still saying it's my deal or no deal. So we're kind of slightly in gridlock country. And the hope of number 10 seems to be a mixture of carrot and stick. The carrot is a sort of Chardonnay offensive, lots of meetings with Tory MPs and other MPs worried about the deal to try and win them over. So they'll be happening today, tomorrow and Wednesday. And we're told more reassurance on the backstop. Now, there'll be particular measures on Northern Ireland trying to minimise any regulatory difference. There may be a beefed up role for MPs on whether we go into the backstop. And there may be, perhaps, something from Europe. And the hope is that, coupled with the looming threat of no deal, could yet corral enough MPs to get the deal through.
Yeah, I mean, at different points, depending on where we've been in the timetable, it's felt like a different logic could potentially apply as we get closer. Presumably the hope at number 10 is that it will focus minds with MPs thinking, well, actually, OK, we do that and then we negotiate thereafter.
I think one of the things we have to be careful of is assuming now that Downing Street have said the vote is going to be on Tuesday and thinking, well, that's it, showtime, it's all over on Tuesday. I think the likelihood, honestly, is even if Mrs May is defeated, she's not going to throw up her hands and say, well, that's it, I give in. The likelihood is she will say, OK, I hear what you're saying. I tell you what, I'll go back to Brussels and see if I can get a little nip and tuck, bring that back, have another crack at it. Maybe the numbers will come down a bit. If she loses again, OK, I'll go back again and gradually try and whittle the numbers down at the same time as the clock is remorselessly ticking down to no deal, further cranking up the pressure on MPs in the hope, at the end of the day, maybe on the third attempt, who knows, basically MPs crack and decide, OK, well, we better go with her deal because really we do not want to leave without any sort of agreement.
Thank you very much, Norman. Well, in a moment, I'm going to be speaking to the two architects of that letter which has gone into Theresa May. 209 cross-party MPs have signed it, and they have signed it. And the message from them is that no deal would be terrible for the economy and would cause job losses. So the two who have come up with that letter are Dame Caroline Spellman, the Conservative MP for Meriden, and Jack Dromi, the Labour MP for Birmingham Erdington. Separately, there are other actions underway. Yvette Cooper for Labour is also pushing an amendment, and that amendment is aimed at stopping financial support in the event of no deal. Well, let's talk specifically about the letter with Dame Caroline Spellman and Jack Dromi. Welcome, thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Your message is no deal would be bad for Britain. What's the alternative?
Well, it's a very clear message because our constituencies are in the West Midlands and already we're losing jobs as a result of the uncertainty caused by Brexit. So we've come together cross-party, 211 signatures now and rising, all parts of the United Kingdom, aside all parties. And this is because to go over a cliff edge on the 29th of March with no deal will definitely risk jobs and people's livelihoods. And everyone, whether they're Remainer or Brexiteer, is united in this letter in wanting to prevent that.
So why not then back the deal? That's the alternative. There is a deal on the table.
There are different views about the deal. I will vote against the deal because it's simply not good enough for it to guarantee the best interests of the future of our country, and in particular our manufacturing base. But coming back to what Caroline said, is there may be different views, but there is a simple reality. We're 81 days away from the cliff of crashing out of the European Union without a deal. Were that to happen, the consequences would be utterly catastrophic for our country. We both represent constituencies with large numbers, for example, of car workers. These are companies, Jaguar Land Rover in particular, that transform the lives of thousands of local people, often in areas of high unemployment. The idea that we would put at risk their future is unthinkable. And the Prime Minister said yesterday, if her deal goes down, which looks exceptionally likely, then we're in uncharted territory. Well, if we're in uncharted territory, if there's one certainty that we have to establish is no deal, no Brexit.
So what do you want to happen? You both want a second referendum, do you?
Take this a step at a time.
Okay.
So our letter unites Remainers and Brexiteers in an effort to rule out a no-deal Brexit. The Prime Minister
you have to put forward more than that, don't you, at this stage? Because as Jack says, we're 81 days away
Step at a time. So we meet, the Prime Minister has invited all the signatories to come and meet her in Downing Street tomorrow night. So let's see what comes out of that meeting.
And what do you want to come out of it? Do you want her to guarantee that no deal won't become
government policy? I would like her to
policy?
give the reassurance of a no-deal Brexit. And I actually take a different view from some people. I actually think that if you rule out a no-deal Brexit, to the Prime Ministers in the other 27 countries of the European Union, this is actually a piece of good news. It means that we're not going to crash out, harming our economy and theirs. And I think as a result of that, she may well get the extra concessions that would make the agreement more acceptable.
You think that? There's no guarantee.
No.
And isn't actually the hardest negotiating position at the moment to say, if you don't give us what we want, it will be no deal. And
she's been using that. She's been
either.
using that negotiating card, and she's got the withdrawal agreement, which actually I would support. And a lot of businesses would say it's good enough for them. But we need more MPs to support this agreement, and for that, she's going to have to get some more concessions. If you rule out a no-deal Brexit, that is a piece of really good news, an important thing to bring to the negotiating table. And I believe she would get more concessions, which would help her agreement be accepted.
And it would be good news for Britain, it would be good news for British industry, good news for British workers. The stakes could not be higher. This is the most important decision this country has taken in 40 years and more, and that's why it's absolutely essential there should not be a rush to disaster, to go, forgive me if I say it one final time, to go over the cliff in 81 days on the 29th of March without a deal would harm our country and our economy for generations to come.
Jeremy Corbyn's position for Labour is to support customs union and a close single market, close ties with the single market. What is there at odds with that position and voting for her deal and then negotiating that relationship going forward? Because it's the only thing that the agreement mitigates against is a further apart relationship, sure. Isn't it? Closer is fine with what she's agreed.
Because it's what I think we've called a blind Brexit. But coming back to your central point, is absolutely we must have on a continuing basis an intelligent relationship with the customs union and the single market. Absolutely vital to our economy. Now my view is that the deal does not go far enough. That's why I will vote against it. But in terms of any negotiation that then takes place, particularly if the Prime Minister does the sensible thing, listens to Parliament and says no deal, no Brexit.
She's saying that Parliament will have a greater say in negotiating the relationship going forward. So that will be there.
But then the best way to give Parliament a greater say right now is to say yes, we agree that what parliamentarians are saying, we should not go down the path of no deal, no Brexit. And it is then about where you go from there.
I think it's really important to bring this point across, because I think a lot of people watching your programme may not have manufacturing workers in their locality. The significance of crashing out without a deal is you instantly make the products that they make less competitive, because instantly you have to pay taxes on your products when you export them to the EU. And that is why bosses of the companies like JLR and Rolls-Royce and Airbus support no deal approach. That's why our letter is supported by big business and small business.
We're out of time. Just very briefly, if she doesn't give you that guarantee of no deal, what will you do?
keep on working for the no Brexit.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You'll have no choice but to vote for the deal, will you?
There is not a majority.
I will support the deal.
There is not a majority in Parliament for crashing out without a deal. So in one way or another, it's an objective we are absolutely determined to achieve.
Thank you both very much. Well, a major exercise involving more than 100 lorries is being carried out to test how to manage traffic queues near the Channel ports in the event of a no-deal Brexit. Our correspondent Simon Jones is at Manston Airport in Kent. How's it going there, Simon?
Well, just as you join us, a second trial is getting underway. These are the final few lorries which are taking part in it. Now, this plan is to test the idea of using the former Manston Airport site here in Kent behind me as a giant lorry park if there is a no-deal Brexit. The theory is if increased checks take place in a port of Dover and places like that, that could lead to 30-mile queues. So the government is looking at ways of taking some of the lorries off the road. What they're also testing this morning is the idea of how long and how difficult it will be to get lorries from this site back down to the port of Dover. So this is a second trial. The first one started at about 8:30 this morning. That was said to